welcome back to another episode of She is a Leader. And in this episode, I got to bond with my guest over our similar experience of growing up behind the Iron Curtain. And Marina actually shared how her grandfather, who, by the way, helped build rocket engines that first took humans to space, shaped her ambitious mindset from childhood on. And what I absolutely loved hearing was how she started her first business at the age of 19, washing windows after reading Milan Kundeра's book. From there, she built a secret shopping service that then evolved into helping businesses work on their motivation and sales strategies. And we dive into why 60% of businesses fail when scaling without proper planning. And Marina shares some incredible stories of how she helped clients expand internationally that completely just change their revenue. So, and if you're struggling with delegation, say, girl, been there, done that, you'll especially appreciate Marina's insights on the psychology behind why we keep tasks on our own plates after hiring talent to actually take care of it. And with that, I would love to introduce you to my guest today. Marina Morgan is an entrepreneur, organizational psychologist, and founder of Morgan Impact, where you guide leaders and teams through change, innovation, and sustainable growth. With over 15 years of experience spanning across corporate leadership and entrepreneurship, you have combined psychology, business strategy, and neuroscience to create actionable frameworks for personal as well as professional success. She currently is developing a model focused on enhancing team readiness for AI integration. And Marina empowers individuals and businesses to unlock their potential, creating meaningful change through practical strategy and deep personal insights. And with that bio, there is no question why I invited you. I love this combination of technology and human, using technology to enhance human. And oh my God, girl, I cannot wait for us to nerd out a little bit, to have fun.
So, hello. Thank you for this amazing introduction. And thank you so much for having me today. It's really an honor to speak with you and with your amazing audience. And I think, woman power is the greatest thing that we have right now in our modern life. So, coming back to your question, can you please give me some more details about what do you want to know about it?
So, one of my favorite questions for my guest is, did little Morgan know she's going to be who you are today? Or did you think you're going to become, I don't know, teacher and artist, something completely different?
So, I was born in Soviet Union, in the country that not exists right now. And honestly, the culture around me wasn't about the entrepreneurship when I was a little girl. But I can say that my family absolutely 100% influence for me, my ambitions, my scale, I suppose, because it's very typical for Soviet Union families when, for example, your parents are in university or in double jobs, and you're rising up with the grandparents. It was absolutely my situation because my mom born me when she was 19 years. And she was a student of the medical university, and I grown up with my grandma and grandpa, her parents. And my grandpa was an engineer who created the rocket engine that at the first time in history brought the humanity to the space. So instead of some fairy tales, my grandpa spoke with me about space, about moon, about the engineering interesting, findings about his team. And I think that his history a pretty ambitious young man who was born in a small village in Ukraine, and 25 years after, he already was the part of the greatest team in all the Soviet Union. Of course, it impressed me. In another hand, my grandma, she was very passionate woman as well. I mean, if they will live in our modern time, probably they will be the C-level managers of the huge corporations, the greatest corporations in the country. So she was the doctor, but also she founded the medical university in the city where I was born. And I think their experience and their point of view for the reality influence for me. I didn't think about it, of course, at that period. I thought that I would like to be a teacher or something like that. I think probably a lot of girls dreaming about it. And honestly, more or less, I'm working in this field. But my career were connected with the development of the talents in organizations. I mean, the education for adult people, not only education, but more some development that connected with the business purposes. This is one thing that I remember about myself when I was a little girl, that I wanted to be a teacher even before I started my school education.
And I find it interesting, having been grown up in East Germany too. So I had a similar upbringing, right, where it's been interesting talking to my friends here in the States or in Canada now, where it's like we have experiences that I often get the big eyes. I'm like, to the point of having tanks drive by on my backyard, where the upbringing was just completely different, where you went to school, you got your diploma, you took the job, you work to provide for your family and the country, and that was it, at least for me and my upbringing. Yet you, first of all, had a great exposure. I'm like, with your grandparents, with your family, with all the things, being able to experience that. And then you did end up going into entrepreneurship fairly early, as well as also still pursuing that formal education too. Tell me about, how was that from growing up in a country where I think a lot for us, I'm assuming it was similar for you, a lot of us, it was, quote, mapped out. This is what we are supposed to be doing. This is how the country is run. This is how our life is supposed to be happening. And then suddenly you get to make choices when things fall apart, when we leave the country, heck, when the wall came down. You becoming an entrepreneur early, as well as pursuing that formal education. How did that impact you? How did you do it? How did you get to that point, and how did it impact you?
You're all asking pretty interesting questions. I didn't think about it in this combination. Okay, I will try to answer, and it will be something new for me today online. When I grown up later, it was the 19th, and it was absolutely wild time in Russia at the beginning of this new page of the country. And honestly, the reputation of entrepreneurship wasn't pretty great. It was some connection with some, criminal activities, was something that pretty unfair, and that entrepreneurs and businessmen, they didn't really had a great reputation in the country. But then I started my education in university. I was something like 19 years old, and it was beginning of it was 205, probably something like that. At that time already, the economical situation more or less stabilized, and we started to have some real great connection with international business, some exchange of the experience, and a lot of foreign companies was pretty interested in this new market, and they already opened something in their territory of Russia. So I mean, the culture of the business already rising up in the better way. So I think that I was pretty open for something new since I was a child. I mean, I was very curious girl. I feel it's still my main passion. Some new things, learning something new, discovering some new territories, interests, people, whatever it is. And this curiosity is my main value, I suppose, and freedom to realize my curiosity instinct. So, and it was pretty simple when I was in at probably my first year in university. I had a graduation. I had a diploma as a psychologist, as an organizational psychologist. I'm master of psychological science. I really wanted, more money. And together with my boyfriend, we opened our first business. It was, honestly, we read the Milan Kundera book at that time. And the main hero of this book, he washed the windows. And we just say, probably we can do something like this. It sounds like an easy money. And it was our first business. I mean, we just announced everywhere in our neighborhood that we can wash your windows. And we got dozens of calls, and we pretty fast we earned enough money to buy some stuff and to hire another students. And for the next year we really had great money. To compare, if you are in Russian system, if you are learning in university, not in the commercial purpose, you have some, some fellow. It probably were $7 if compared with now money per month, and we earn something like, I don't know, 200 per weekend. So just imagine, and you were able to do a lot of different things. And then. We found that we didn't have a secret service. I mean, when somebody visiting your shop and just speaking with your sales team like a client, and you really want to know the reality of the service, what's going on. And we found that in our city there is no service like this, and we just created the offer and visited a lot of different shops in the mall. And some of them told, yeah, it's great, do it. And honestly, we used those guys who washed the windows in our previous business. We used them like, secret service guests. We recorded the conversation for the audio. And I've already, in my university, it was the second year, and we had the labor psychology. And at that moment, I already know several, several aspects about the labor motivation, something like that. And I felt myself like a really great professional in organizational psychology at the time. So we not only gave the script of the connection with the salespeople, but also I made some kind of my professional conclusion. For example, you can do this and this and this. We suggested steps like this. And since then, we got a lot of different clients who ask us to create some motivational programs, a lot of different things like this. And right now, when I'm thinking about it, I was 90 years old, and I really work with the business owners who were older than me, much more experienced than me, and they really asked me about something. And I think that it was because, as I told you, we just started this culture of business in the country, and there were not enough professional in it. And I wrote my diploma about the management through the organizational culture. It was 16 years ago, probably even more right now. 16, yes. And at that period about the management through the organizational culture, people started to speak only in the United States, and that they're innovative and cool companies. But just imagine what's going on in Russia at that period. What's organizational culture? What it is? What's about the management? And but I was pretty interested in it, and I think that it shaped my point of view for the organization, because I'm thinking about the organization like about the whole system with that I work.
And it's interesting because, yes, I remember the times, and it's like, I think Germany is just finally getting to a point where entrepreneurship is not a bad thing, because everybody just always had a job. You do a job, it's safe. Yeah, things change. And it's interesting listening to your story. I see this pattern of, you always were in the area of optimizing and scaling businesses. If that was your own business, if that was helping other businesses, because optimizing the sales process is optimizing to scale your business. And if I remember right, your website mentions scaling shouldn't feel this messy. So I'm curious, what's like the most transformative shift you have seen when a client moves from like that chaotic growth of, cool, they prove the market, they can deliver, they're doing right, they have that growth spurt happening, to really shifting into strategically scaling? What do you see as that most transformative shift that's happening in your clients?
Okay, it's a pretty great question. I want to say that scaling what wasn't planned correctly is one of the most popular mistake that killed the business. Yes, it's on that. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably 60% of businesses that dead. It happened with these businesses because they started to scale without enough resources for that and without strategic planning. Um, so I just trying to find the example that will be, comfortable for my clients, because I'm following the indie and I'm typically, changing some names, some industries, just to provide an example, but be corrective for the personal information of my clients. Oh, pretty great example. I remember it. I have several clients who pretty ambitious, but their mindset not allow them to think about scaling for another markets. I mean, in the markets in another countries, and there are a lot of examples. Then in your own country, in the market with that you're pretty familiar, you know that it's pretty hard, and you had this hard experience in your country, and you suppose that, well, you will, expand your business for another markets, it probably will be even more harder than in your own market, because here you know everything well. And let's just imagine what will be somewhere where you don't understand what's going on. And I had several clients who didn't even analyze the market that's pretty close to them, because of the language concerns, because of the cultural concerns. And they had pretty ambitious numbers that they want to achieve. I mean, to achieve some goal in financial aspect. And when we started to analyze the market on that, they realized right now, they understood that there is no market in reality, and you will never become a millionaire, for example, if you will continue to work in this business model in your market. And the example of how to take action in this way, when you are investing a huge amount of money to the marketing and trying to find the clients in this market, or for example, you're hire the sales team before you had enough clients like coming to you with a different request, and you have this spending, this is my favorite one. Somebody told you, or you read in the book from Robert Kiyosaki or some another famous advisors, that just to get any money, open some franchise or some another in another city or something like that. And people started to do it, spending all their money without their scaling business model that can work. So in the example that I started to tell you, I suggest my client to just analyze what's going on in the market in the pretty close country. And he found that the services that he's providing didn't exist in this country in such level that exists right now in his own country, in his native country. And he analyzed it, and I suggest him just to give a small advertising company without a huge budget, and just see how many people will react in it and will fill the form on the website. For example, I'm interested in your service. He worked in connection with the construction business, and he got a lot of clients for the really low price. And God bless, briefly, he pivoted his team, and they started to work in this market, and he had already resources. But if he will continue to spend the budget for trying to find these clients on his native market without understanding that it's pretty small market, high competitive, and there is no any potential here, or continue to spend the money, because one of his hypotheses was that his sales team not work very well, and he fired people, hired some new, changed some motivation model, and it took a huge amount of his attention, like a business leader, without the strategic view for another side.
I love that. And I love how you are integrating AI in the process. So can you help me? Can you help me understand how you are helping businesses measure as well as enhance their AI integration? So how can companies really integrate with AI and use this as an advantage without losing that human touch?
It's a really perfect question. The first thing I want to help all the companies globally, and that's why right now I develop in my AIQ model, the framework that everyone can use just to measure the AI readiness of the team for AI integration. And I'm more focused on human aspects of this because there are a lot of right now different way how you can measure your infrastructure, readiness, your business processes, your budget, all these things that more about the business. I want to provide this understanding for the people, what's going on with them. And, honestly, right now, I work with the people with a very, very different level of the AI integration. For example, I'm living in Silicon Valley, and you can imagine I'm living in the bubble where everyone know AI, use AI, building AI agents, do it every time, and this is pretty normal for them. I will give you impressive example. On the last week, I was in New York City and I visited several parties there, several events with pretty wealthy people from, New York business community. I spoke with several of them, includes pretty young people or elder people with huge businesses, hedge funds, real estate businesses. And I just, started to speak with them about the artificial intelligence, and I found that they absolutely not using it. And also, I had an opinion like from the businessman. He told, I'm not using artificial intelligence because I'm taking care about the planet, and it's pretty unsafe. It took a huge amount of the electricity and energy. I'm not even using the light at the evening in my house just to help the planet, and I just don't think that my needs, worth it to give such a damage for the planet. It's impossible to hear something like this in Silicon Valley because everyone, using
Yeah.
it. Also, I have clients who maybe use some chat GPT to generate some texts or ask some questions, but they don't know what the AI agent is. There you can just, make some digital salesperson or digital assistants using the combination of different AI tools. So answering for your question, my model based on the several aspects. First, and of course, first of all, is the skills. Are you familiar with what's going on right now in the market? What artificial intelligence industry suggests you right now, and it's pretty easy to understand because you can, for example. We are making something like this with my clients. You are creating several tasks for your team that you really can do only if you're using artificial intelligence. And if you are not doing it, you're unable to do it, for example, for one day or for those deadline what we give for the team just for these diagnostic tasks. Or you even just can ask some questions. What are you using? How do you use it? What the scenarios, etc. The next thing is your adaptability levels. That's what we are measuring. We're right now developing this part in my assessment model. But here we use neurophysiological approach, some psychological approach, and adaptability is about your ability to learn new, to be open to something new, how fast you can change your mindset, your behavioral patterns, etc. And for example, I have clients who pretty familiar with artificial intelligence, but not in all the level of the organization. I mean, founder or C-level team members, they able to work with that and they provide it to the teams, and they pretty frustrated the team not reacting it with the speed that they want. And here I come to explain that we have different aspects of our neuroplasticity speed, our adaptability skills, and the only one thing that you can do as a manager is to provide pretty safety, open to innovation environment and help your employees to go in this new mindset through some probably, playing activities like game activities or something more easier than ambitious tasks. Depends on the organization. Because just imagine it, those things that half a year ago you were able to do for several months, right now you can do just for one day or maybe a couple days. And the problem is not in some skills of create a great prompt to OpenAI or other artificial intelligence tools that you are using. The problem is to switch your mindset. Okay, if I can do it for one day, what should I do in other days? Or how what should be the speed of the development of our business? What about my coworkers? I'm moving with speed like this, and what about my colleagues? We're working together. They can have absolutely another skills, and this is one of the main problem with right now organization are facing with the differences in this adaptability. uh, Another moment that we are working at, and it can be some practical training, it can be some workshops, it can be the analysis of the processes about your ability to delegate, because we find some correlation between your ability to delegate in your regular life, in your personal life, in your
Yeah.
professional life, and the delegate for your AI assistants. I see that you reacted in it a little bit emotionally, and I think that you
Uh-huh.
have some. Please
Yeah,
do it.
because it's like, I think one of the biggest issues and struggles I often see, not just only with entrepreneurs but also in the corporate structure, is that struggle with delegation, with hiring talent, and somehow tasks are still landing back on my back, on the person's back we're working with. um, is there is there like a psychology barrier behind this pattern, and how can you lead leaders to break through this issue of delegation, of great, you're either way struggling to hiring talent, or you're hiring talent and stuff still is landing on your plate. So how can people get through this barrier, through this wall of this delegation issue when we are scaling a business?
Well, it's a pretty great question. I try to classify those requests that I had in my experience. So the first thing, it's pretty simple. It's about the business processes, because we have a lot of different organizations that pretty hierarchical, and you have very small scope of freedom. And you are, if you are an employee in this team, not a leader, not a founder, you're just employer. It's pretty difficult for you to understand how you can reorganize your processes, because don't have an access to the whole picture for some reason. Probably this is the organizational culture, this is the business structure, etc. So if we're speaking about, developing this delegation culture in the organization, we should really make a first step and understand what's going on in our culture right now. Is our employees really know what they can delegate, and what will they get for this delegation? Because if I lose my responsibility, how will I prove that I'm pretty useful for my company, and I really provide some profit for the company? And it can be very simple, and the first reason. Before we dive into some psychological aspect, I'm typically trying to understand what's going on in the business for the very simple level. We had the funny phrase, in psychologist community, like, please don't disrupt the universe for the cup of coffee. It's about, like, for example, when we explaining some simple things in our life through some perspective of it's happened probably in my childhood, my mom, that's something like that. Sometimes it's pretty simple, and it can be pretty simple in this situation as well. So in a cup of coffee, in this example, will be just analyze the processes and be sure that the processes in your structure is, or have some space for the delegation and collaboration and delegation. Speaking about the psychological things, one of the main things is, of course, the desire of the founder and leader to take everything under control. And probably you had a bad experience as a leader. It can happen. Probably, and this experience probably influence for you hiring strategy, and you are not hiring those people who you can really trust. And you don't understand how to do it, or in those you see really strong team members, like your equal partners. Because, for example, in my team, in my business, I'm trying to hire those people that more professional and smarter than me in their fields. And I'm always asking their opinion about everything, and I'm trying to create the space there where they can, present this opinion without any doubts or fear that I will react and this, like, what kind of bullshit you're speaking here about? No, absolutely not. But it is not whole. I mean, this is me and this is my approach. And for example, if you want some another approach, this is absolutely, you're right, like a business leader, but you just need to understand what will be the next. I mean, if you are making the choice A, you will have the circumstances B. Um, So this is the main thing. And typically, if you will ask the founder, "Are you ready to delegate?" He will give you a lot of different rational reasons, like, "Yes, I am, but for some reason I don't have a great professional, or my co-founder is not working pretty good." And when you started to analyze this, you really understand that there is no any space where you can give this responsibility for your team or for your co-founder or for your, I don't know, CEO. Depends on the situation. And typically, there is some psychological aspects here. It can be bad experience. It can be just some habits to take everything under control and not allow yourself, to relax, to compose, etc. For example, one of my clients, they own in the restaurant, and for 2 years, just imagine it, the co-founder of the restaurant, she answered for all the telephone calls about the booking the tables, about the, I don't know, answering for different questions like, can we visit you with the pets, or can you please explain me what's the dishes. And we worked with her probably several weeks before she were able to, delegate it for AI assistants who just can, automatically book the tables, etc. Because at the beginning of the business, they several times were before, they're totally broken up. And she's pretty accurate with any client, and she was afraid that if somebody, but not her, will speak with the client, they will use it, and it was pretty difficult in this situation. So other reason is, I said about the control just a sec. Other reason is, let's be honest, sometimes it can be the correlation between the size of the ego and the successful of your company.
You just went there. You just went there.
Oh God, I want to say it wasn't my client. I will not give your name, but
I mean, I'm one of those too. It's like, don't get me wrong. I'm like, we all have our own ego and our pride, right? And ego doesn't necessarily mean it's something bad. To me, it's just a data point. I'm like, I've put a lot of work into my business. I definitely have an ego around my business and what we have done. Don't get me wrong. It's just letting go of that ego for the advantage of the business. That's how I look at it.
It's pretty difficult, if to be honest, but you're absolutely right. And oh my God, I know pretty famous business owner. He's a leader of one of the most famous companies in the world, and of course in Silicon Valley. And in his personal office, it's pretty big. You will find probably more than hundreds his photos with the different, business owners, politics, rock stars, etc. Just imagine he's coming to his office and the, I don't know, 75th floor, for example, and just surrounded by his amazing different pictures. And it's pretty fun. You can motivate it by this. You can develop your business based on this energy, because when you love yourself so much that you want to scale yourself, it can be the fuel for in the engine of your business, and it can be appropriate. But it's not very easy for people with this type of personality to accept that somebody can be better than me, more clever than me, and oh my God, no, can better than me know what will be good for my business. And it's very difficult just to give the small space for thought like this in your in your mindset. And this is the second most popular I can say problem, the reason why it can be different. So summarize: processes, control, and based on my greatness of my personality, culture, and traditions in building my relationship with the team, co-founders, etc. What can you do here depends on the business aspect. Here is the most easiest thing. Just analyze what's going on with the processes. Do your employees have a space where they can share the ideas, change the project, like be some collaborative team? And it will be easier But if you develop your business based on the culture of high competitive, like for example, you are not making the friendly space, it will not work because everyone will try to, to have their piece of the pie and bite the neighbors. It depends on, you also can develop your business for this. But, my experience and all the prognosis right now demonstrate us that there is more chance to be resilient in this real modern economical situation to those companies who are pretty flexible, collaborative, with a high level of adaptability, openness to something new, and in a stressful environment, it's pretty difficult to achieve this, to achieve this state for your team.
Now, if my listeners could implement just one strategic practice tomorrow to strengthen their leadership and team effectiveness, what would you recommend?
You mean if we're speaking about AI tools or whatever it is tools?
Whatever it is,
Just
what is
anything.
what is one action they can take tomorrow to become a better leader, to be better with their team effectiveness?
Oh, okay, it will be unexpected advice from my side. So, because it's not very typical for their business field, but it's obvious base of neurophysiology. So, the first thing that you should remember, you like a leader, you are the role model for your employees. And do you want it or you don't want it, you're the role model for your employees. And if you're a business owner, you're the source of organizational culture in your company. Even if you have a small company with only, you and your amazing dog or your amazing assistant, whatever it is, even if it's not just you, it's already the organization. And this organization have the organizational culture and you're the source of it. So, and I really found amazing research that demonstrates that leaders are able to change the biochemistry of their employees through the emotions and the words that you use in communication with your employees, with your staff. And my advice for you will be just to accept that this is true, that you are the role model for your team, and just focus not on the results of everything that you are doing, but on the process and try to integrate the enjoyment in your reality. I will briefly explain it. From the neurophysiological aspect, the endorphins were rising up in our body when we enjoy some pretty personalized thing. They influence for the dopamine level. And if you want to stay on your top performance, highly motivated, and have enough dopamine in your system, and be resilient, positive, in a good mood, in a healthy state, that will 100% will reflect in your team, because in the healthy statement and with a healthy mind and nervous system, you're able automatically make a healthy decision, develop healthy communication atmosphere in your workplace, and see the more picture, the biggest picture in your reality, in the reality of your business. So my advice will be, just accept that it will be pretty great for your business if you will learn to enjoy the process with the same level like you enjoy the results that you and your team can achieve. Just understand it through the neurophysiological approach. On my channel, you easily will find the video about why enjoyment is pretty important for the entrepreneurs. And plan your week. Not started with the important clients calls or one-to-one meetings with your team. Plan your week. Start it with the everyday 5 or 10 minutes moments of your personal enjoyment. Create a list of the pretty simple things that really make you feel this enjoyment. The moments with that we feel this whole body yes. It can be pretty simple things, like, for example, I'm enjoying the drinking the coffee from my favorite mug, or I love the moment then I waking up in the early morning, and I'm just put my face to the sunshine, or I don't know, running in the morning, or drinking the cold water, or walking with my dog, whatever it is. It should be pretty simple things, but you're planning it. And if even the awfulest events that can happen will happen, you dedicate this 10 minutes for this enjoyment. You switch off your phone, you forget about everything for this 10 minutes, and you know that you will have that moment during the day. And you just dive deep into it. You're taking your favorite mug, and for 10 minutes, you're focused on this enjoyment moments. and experience every detail of this moment, every detail. What is the smell of the tea? How do I feel when I hold in this mug in my hand? It can be about any experience that you want, and if you will create the list, it will be much more easier to plan it every day. But you should do it, and you will be surprised. In the next several weeks, your mood and your statement will dramatically change. And another thing here, please try to learn your system, make a decision and make a choice through the enjoyment. For example, start with pretty simple things. When you're visiting grocery store, don't just put in your bag everything that you typically take there, because this is your habits. That's what, I don't know, your mom cooked you for the breakfast. Just make a stop near the fruits and ask yourself, what I really want more: banana, orange, apple, some berries. Give yourself a 1 minute and imagine the taste of all these fruits in your mouth. And for those that you will feel more, attraction, put it in your basket. This is 1 minute, but give this minute to yourself. Next day, you can ask yourself the same in the morning: what I want to wear today, some jeans or some trousers or probably some skirts, but whatever it is. Just ask yourself, and again, give you this 1 minute, and imagine the feel of these jeans in your skin. And for those things that you will feel this whole body, yes, choose it. The next day, it can be the choice of how will I get home, by bus, by car, by walk, whatever it is. And day by day, make these choices more and more complicated. And one day, then you will be in the pretty tough circumstances where you will need to make a decision without enough information for your business, and in pretty tough circumstances, as I told, and you will have only, I don't know, several hours to make this decision. You already will have an understanding how your body make the best choice in those circumstances that you have, and you can rely on it and make the best choice that will be available for you in that moment, even without enough information, because you already have this connection with your personal science. So the conclusion here: you, like a leader, integrate the enjoyment in your life, and through this provide the healthy and resilient atmosphere in your team, and you will win.
Joe, I'm already on the right path. Yes, it's pretty similar to what I have been working on over the last years and how actually my morning coffee came about. Now, Marina, for everybody else that wants to dive deeper into this, where can people find you?
Thank you yourself. Thank you so much for this opportunity. You can easily find me on my website, themorganimpact.com, and you will have a chance to have a free consultation for the half an minutes for the half an hour if you have some kind of request. Also, you can find me on my YouTube channel in the LinkedIn page, Marina Morgan SF probably. And there I publish different research, some cases, some interesting information that can be useful for entrepreneurs, leaders, and those people who just want to change something in their life.
And as always, you know what's coming. The links are going to be in the description. Easy for you to just click on it and go check out all the resources that Marina has for you. Thanks so much for joining me today. And thanks so much for the great conversation.
Thank you. It was a pretty honor and pleasure.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.